Welcome, everyone. So good to see all of you here. Welcome, Christine, Lindsay, Katie, Luciana. Oh, it's so good to see you again. Hello. Welcome. While we're waiting for everyone else to join, I'd love to hear in the chat from all of you your name, where you're joining from, and the first three words that pop into your mind when you think about conflict or hear the term conflict. I'll give you a minute or two to reflect on that and put it in the chat. Mm. For those of you just joining, we are doing a quick chat icebreaker. And I'd love to hear your name, where you're coming from, and the first three words that come to mind when you think about conflict. So I'll give you all another moment or so to put that in the chat. And the other thing I'll share is this is going to be an interactive workshop. You're going to be doing reflection exercises and connecting with each other in breakout rooms. So it's really helpful to each other and to the space if you can be on video. So if you're able to do that, please pop on. It'll be so wonderful to see your face. And it will really help some of the later activities that we'll be doing too. Well, thank you all for sharing. Have some really deep words here: discomfort, anger, hurt feelings, tension, emotional growth, active listening, communication, aggravation, fear, conversation, war, stress, ego, challenge, anger, fighting, frustrated, never ending, locked in. Thank you all for sharing some of these words. I know it might feel like a pretty intense prompt to start off with, but this is going to be a session about conflict. So I wanted to hear where you're all coming from. And while there are some common themes here, there are also a lot of differences in the words that we chose because we're all coming from different contexts, backgrounds, different experiences with conflict, and that's all welcome. So wherever you're coming from, the frameworks and the tools we'll share today will be of service, and you'll get to figure out how to apply them in your own way. And before we get started, now that I think almost everyone's here, let's just take a deep breath together. So you're welcome to lower your gaze or close your eyes, sit up tall, lengthen your spine. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. Let's do two more of those. Breathe in really deep. Exhale, let go of anything that doesn't need to come into this workshop with you. Let's do one more of those. Make it your deepest breath of the day so far. Fill your lungs all the way. And exhale with a sound. Let it all out. And take a few moments here. Allow your breath to flow naturally in and out through your nose. And just notice how your body feels. Notice what emotions or thoughts are present. And from this state of awareness, remember why you're here today, why you signed up to be here, what you're hoping to get out of this experience. And take a moment to connect to that sense of purpose. In the next few breaths, you can gently open your eyes and come back into the space, but see if you can bring that sense of purpose with you and presence. Welcome, everyone. My name is Mallory. For those of you who I don't know, I'm one of the co-founders of the Inheritance Project. I'm joined by two of my other co-founders, Ariel and Katya, who's here behind the scenes helping with some of our tech work smoothly. And at Inheritance Project, we partner with visionary leaders and organizations to create communities that love working together by helping resolve conflict and building greater connection, trust, empathy, inclusion, and communication skills. So today you're going to get a little bit of a peek behind the curtain at some of our favorite tools for resolving conflict that we bring to some of our clients all over the country. And I do just want to make one thing clear. Hands up if this is anyone's first Inheritance Project workshop or your first interaction with Inheritance Project. Oh, hey, Misha, so good to see you. Just noticed you. Hi, Katie. I see. Okay, cool. Wonderful. Welcome to our community. We have probably 50% newcomers and 50% long-standing community members. But for those of you who are new, when we say inheritance, we're not just talking about physical property or money or a house that might be passed from one generation to the next. We're talking about all the things that we inherit from past generations. So that includes our ancestry, our genetics, our culture, our beliefs, our values, stories, social conditions, and perspectives. A lot of these things are invisible to the naked eye, but shape our experience and the way that we show up and communicate with others every day. And this is the lens that we bring to all of our work, because so often conflict and miscommunication happens because people are coming from different inheritances, different ways of seeing the world, different norms of communicating, and those come into conflict and come into tension. So we're going to be unpacking that a little bit more today. And what we'll be focusing on today is actually one of our core frameworks called the 7 skills for challenging conversations. And this workshop is actually designed to be a follow-on to the workshop called From Conflict to Connection, which gives a deep introduction to the first 3 skills. Hands up if you've done From Conflict to Connection. Ben. Cool. So maybe not all of you have done that workshop, which is okay, but I highly recommend that you go back and watch the replay. It's just an hour. We just put the link in the chat, and all of this that we're going to talk about today will make a lot more sense once you've done that, because it will give you a deeper dive into each of those 3 skills and why they're important and how they work. For today, though, we're going to be taking skills number 2, 3, and 4 and applying them to a real life situation or problem or challenge that you're dealing with in one of your relationships. And I'm really excited that to help us with this process, we have 2 amazing social impact leaders here, Beth and Celeste. Beth has been a nonprofit leader for over 20 years. She is now the executive director of the Creative Education Foundation and really passionate about bringing creativity into education. She was previously a professor of writing and has also written plays and earned awards for her scholarship in writing. So Beth is an incredibly wise and accomplished leader, and we're so happy to have you here today. We also have Celeste. Oh yeah, come off mute and say hi to everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for the warm welcome. Really, really happy to be here and talk about this amazing work. It's been huge for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And we also have Celeste, another incredible educator and social impact leader who currently serves as the director at the Center for Schools and Communities and the chief programs officer at the Central Susquehanna Intermediate Unit, which is an education service agency. She also leads the organization's equity efforts and serves on a number of national, state, and local boards, including the Education Policy Institute. She's also an author and has written a lot in the realm of belonging, equity, inclusion, cultural competence, and education leadership. So welcome, Celeste. Thank you for being here to share your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much, Mallory, and I can't wait to hear from all of the participants today and also share my story.
Yeah, and Beth and Celeste are both recent graduates of our Bridge Builders program, which we'll share more about. But in this program, we actually go deep into all of the 7 skills over 7 weeks and give you the chance to really unpack a real life relationship problem or situation you're dealing with at work or at home and move through a really deep process to transform that. And now that I've introduced everyone, I actually love to invite everyone here to take themselves off mute to come on video and to say hi to everyone. I would love to just hear your voices in the space before we get started.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello there.
everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
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 Hi.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Welcome. So good to have you all. One more quick thing before we jump into the content is agreements. So agreements for the rest of this workshop. The first one is to listen with your full body. So that means all the other tabs that you're looking at, your email, etc., please close it out. We're just here for the next 45 minutes or so. So really take this opportunity to be present and give whoever is speaking your full attention. The second is turn assumptions into questions. So this is actually a skill we're going to work on today. And if you want to go deeper into this one, you should definitely watch the conflict to connection replay. Use I statements means to speak from your own experience. So rather than making generalizations like all women feel this way or all Asian Americans feel this way, I would say I've had this specific experience. So we're talking specifics from our own experience. The fourth is be concise because you have a limited amount of time. I want to hear from as many people as possible here during our group discussion. And so try to express yourself as clearly and concisely as possible so we can make space for everyone to contribute. And finally, confidentiality. What's shared here stays here, what's learned here leaves here, which means please take the 7 skills and go out and use them, apply them in your life, tell the world about them, share them with your friends and family, but don't share specific details of the situations that people share, names, identifying details. Please keep that confidential so we can feel comfortable workshopping and learning together. And finally, we ask that you have your video on for this workshop. We are going to be connecting in breakout rooms, and it's so much better for your fellow participants if you're sharing something vulnerable about something difficult in your life to be greeted by a real human nodding along, giving you body language. It really makes such a difference. So if you're having a tech issue or something like that, or need to take care of a need or something, no worries. Just send us a message in the chat to let us know that you won't be on video for a moment or two, and we'll be right back. And does anyone have any questions about these agreements? Can everyone agree to these for the duration of this workshop? If so, give me a thumbs up, Zoom or real. Great. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And one more tool for you is body language, which these are just 3 signals we can use when we're not talking to show the other people here that we're really listening and receiving their contribution. The first is I feel you. So that's just 2 hands on the chest. And you can use this if someone's sharing something where you're like, yes, I resonate. I feel you. So let's all do it together. I feel you. Great. The second is me too, which is your pinky and your thumb out, and you're making this gesture, me to you, connecting you with the other person. So if someone shares something and you have had that exact same experience or you agree, you can say me too. And side note, imagine how much time you would save at all your virtual work meetings if everyone could just do this instead of coming off mute to agree with each other 500 times. So these are very efficient too. And finally, celebration. So this is if you really want to uplift someone's contribution, you can give them a round of applause, snaps, jazz hands, spirit fingers. You can really be creative with it. So I'd love to see your most lively celebration right now. Yes, Ariel's raising the roof. Amazing. Oh my gosh, I already feel so much happier just just watching that, you can see how it really changes the energy in the space. So I really encourage you to use these because this really makes a difference to how people feel like their contribution is being received, and it really can really change the culture of any group. So with that, let's review a few core concepts, and then you'll get into reflecting on your own situation or issue that you've come here to work on. The first is the definition of conflict, because I know that even some of you said this in your 3 words, that often what first comes to mind when we say conflict is war or big global crises or violence. And that can be a conflict, but conflict also happens in much smaller and more subtle ways day to day all the time. We define conflict as a struggle resulting from opposing needs, drives, wishes, and demands. And so conflict is incredibly common because we're all different, unique humans. We all have different needs and drives in large part because of our different inheritances. So conflict is not something necessarily to shy away from, or I guess I should say it's impossible to shy away from because it's such an inherent part of the nature of living with other humans who all have different needs to us. So today we're going to try and unpack what's going on in one of your conflicts using the 7 skills. And the first skill that we want to quickly recap for you is number 2, noticing your own observations and stories. So an observation is a specific and neutral description of events or behaviors without deriving additional meaning from that. An assumption or a story is often created when the person perceiving those events makes meaning out of them. So this can be a little tricky because the human mind is naturally designed to make meaning out of the world. That's part of how we're wired. It's natural. We all do it. We all make stories up about other people. So this is one example. If you look at this image, what do you see? The neutral observation would be a person sitting at a desk looking to the left. Their chin is resting on their hand. The story might be, this person is really bored at work. She hates her job. So we're seeing the same facial expressions, the same body language, the same position, and we're creating a meaning out of it. So I actually love to pass the mic to Beth and share an example from your own life about how you've untangled some stories from observations and how that's impacted some of your relationships.
Yeah, sure. So this one's actually fairly recent. We brought a new person onto our very small team, and someone who's known to us and is a member of the community, our creativity community. Hilarious person. Really liked her. Had wanted her to come on team for a long time. As we started working together, I would notice that she would, if she felt strongly about something, she'd really lean in and it would sound like aggressive to me. And she'd talk so fast, like I couldn't answer any questions. And it was just really hard blending that style in with our team. My instant assumption was, oh, she's been an independent consultant for so long, she doesn't know how to do teamwork, or she's not a good team player. And that was how I categorized her. And then I needed to like reflect on that a little bit. And I deployed some of the other skills and asked some questions, and I found out that she was just feeling really overwhelmed by what we had asked her to do. And she was a little unfamiliar with teamwork, but in terms of asking for help. So I was able to work on that and to put in some early warnings for her, to tell us when there is a problem brewing, or if she feels like she's not going to get to something. And I reassured her, I said, I don't care about if you can't do something or it's a mistake or you're not sure. We just need enough time to move the work around. So just tell me if you don't think you can do something or you don't like it, So now we're actually working on moving some responsibilities to another person on the team who's better at doing those skills anyway and likes them. And I'm really letting this person kind of dig into her special skills, which is really developing curriculum and working with members of our community. So that's a recent story.
Yeah, thank you so much, Beth. I think Like, hands up if you've made kind of a stories or assumptions like that about other teammates at various points in your career. Like, oh, they must just suck at working on a team, or they must just be full of themselves, or or whatever. Trust me, I've been there almost on a daily basis. We all do it. It's not to shame anyone, like it's not wrong, but that's why skill number 2 is noticing your stories. And Beth shared such a great example of what happens when we notice our story, put that to a side, and allow ourselves to actually be curious instead and find out what's really going on so we can support that person and uncover the situation. So Celeste, I want to ask you the same question, a story from your own experience about this skill.
Sure. I was engaged in several meetings with a funder, and this person, we just did not mesh. If I met him on the street, we probably wouldn't be friends ever. And as a result, the conversations that we always had seemed tense and frustrating and downright annoying to me. At one point, I really noticed that my eye would twitch when I was talking to this person. And after learning about skill number 2, I really started to approach these conversations with a more open mind, understanding that I needed to come from a place of empathy. And so, what I asked myself is, what story was I telling myself before the conversation even happened? And that was that this is going to be a horrible conversation. They never listen. They don't value my opinion or appreciate my experiences. And so, during the course of learning this skill, I really started to say again, let me think about this with an open mind, with empathy, and started asking questions before we got into the meat of the meeting about, how was your day going on a scale of 1 to 10? How are you feeling today? And, being able to adapt and adjust based on that response. So if it was a 2, to say, hey, do you want to talk about it before we start? Or if it was a 9, would you mind sharing? Because I'm not having such a good day. And these conversations became more tolerable. And I would even say now that I'm almost to the point where I can say I enjoy the conversation. It's constant work because it's my work, not the funder's work. But yes, definitely has, given me a new perspective, changed my paradigm about what I think people are bringing when it might just be me bringing the issue.
Mm, thank you so much. What a powerful story of taking responsibility for your own reactions and questioning your assumptions about other people and how that can really transform your experience of the relationship. So thank you both for sharing so openly. And I now, for all the rest of you here, it's your turn. We're gonna turn the spotlight to you, and you're gonna get a chance to reflect on your own situation or relationship that you want to work on in this lab using this frame. And for the first part of this reflection, there'll be several questions that you'll be writing about stream of consciousness. And when we say stream of consciousness, that means whatever pops into your head, just write it down. No judgment. You're the only person who's going to read this. So be really honest with yourself. And first, I want you to just fully lean into the stories. Allow your mind, like almost as if you were ranting about this person or this situation to your best friend, someone you really trust, or your journal. Just really let it out and allow this to be a pure, unfiltered rant. Like really allow yourself to get into it. So we're going to do this first, and we'll give you 3 minutes or so to write, and we'll play a little bit of music. Does anyone have questions before we jump in? Is this clear? Great. Okay, cool. So enjoy. You have about another minute or two, so really allow yourself to dig into the emotion that you feel about this person or situation or topic. You have about 30 seconds to wrap up your lost sentence or thought. And when you're complete, I'd love to hear one word in the chat from each of you about how it felt to just really allow yourself to go in there and rant about this person or this situation. How did it feel? Give me one word in the chat when you're ready. Insightful. Finally, cathartic. Odd. Yeah, it's a little unusual. We don't usually give ourselves permission. We want to be nice and polite, and a lot of the time we don't allow ourselves to do this. It's really great to do this just for yourself without necessarily needing to share it with the other person. So this is a great exercise that you can do anytime. And now I want you to take a moment to go back and reflect on what you wrote and review and write down some things you notice about your own writing. One, what feelings are there? So maybe you didn't necessarily name any specific emotions, but if you zoom in a little bit, you can see this emotion wheel here, which has a lot of different options for emotions. So sometimes it can be helpful to take a look at this and use this as a prompt to identify how you're feeling. Sometimes it's hard to know clearly what emotion we're feeling, or it can be a mix of a lot of different things. So I find this to be a really helpful tool. So first, you're going to take a look at this and notice and write down what feelings you have about the person or situation. And then you're going to identify your stories. What stories do you have about the people involved? So just like Beth shared, she had a story that her new teammate was bad at teamwork. And Celeste had a story that this funder who she was talking to didn't value her experience, didn't appreciate her perspective, and every interaction with them was going to be awful. So that's what we mean by stories. So identify the stories that you have, the meaning that you're making out of the situation. And once you've identified those two things, I want you to pull out what are actually the specific neutral observations of the events or behavior. So, what exactly did this person say specifically? What exact body language did they use? Was their voice raised? Were they talking a little louder than normal? What are observations you can make about the event, their behavior that is specific and observable, that does not involve a layer of meaning making on top about who they are, what's happening. So you have about 5 minutes to work on this. And if you have some extra time, you can also reflect on what are some of your needs in this situation. Maybe you need to feel valued. Maybe you need to feel respected. So that's an extra layer that if you have time, you can add in as well. But for now, focus on feelings, stories, and neutral observations. And we'll give you about 4 or 5 minutes to reflect on this. Okay. Let's take about another minute or so. If you have completed these 3 questions, think about what some of your needs might be and also what some of your values are in this situation. Great. Finish up your last thought or sentence. And when you're ready, give me a wave so I know that you're ready to move on. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. You're going to get a chance to pair up with one other person here in a breakout room and share about your situation and what you learned from that experience. And in this breakout room, you're also going to play a game. Because we love games at Inheritance Project because we really think learning should be fun, and all of our programs involve breathing together, dancing together, moving together, playing together. Because, you know, some of these topics can be heavy, and it's really important to hold both the light and the dark. And as Katya shared in the chat, we learn 20 times faster through play. So this is a game called What I Heard You Say. We're practicing skill number 4, which is receiving and acknowledging someone else's share. So when the other person in your breakout is talking about their situation, you want to listen actively with open body language, making eye contact, obviously not multitasking. If you like, you can take notes on what they share. And then after they've finished sharing for 1 minute, so you're each going to have 1 minute timed to share about your situation, and we will give you notices using the green bar at the top of your Zoom screen. So that's when you'll know when your time is up and when to change. So after their 1 minute is up, you're going to say, "What I heard you say is," and repeat back a short synthesis of what they shared and ask, "Did I hear that correctly?" To make sure that, to just confirm, and they can say yes or no or clarify after that. And then you're going to switch. And so when you're receiving and acknowledging, you are not giving the other person advice, sharing about another similar situation that you experienced in your own life. You're also not making your own meaning and story about their situation, like, "Oh yeah, this person must be awful because blah, blah, blah." Okay, you're just repeating back what you heard them say. Sounds very simple. It can actually be challenging in practice. So is this clear to everyone, how this game works? So pay attention to the announcements bar at the top of your screen. When you get into your breakout, the person whose first name is alphabetically first is going to go first for ease. Thank you, first half of the alphabet, for carrying us. And then you'll switch and we'll let you know when. And if you, I know some of you are sick or have stuff going on, but if you are able to come on video for your breakout, and really be present and give body language to the other person while they're sharing, I really encourage you to do that. Right, so any questions before we go to our rooms? All right. Well, enjoy your conversations. The other thing I'll share is, oh, I was supposed to mention this. If you are, you know, that your situation is very confidential, you're totally welcome to share about it without any names or personal details or anything. And this is confidential. So the breakouts are just going to be a couple of minutes. You're going to have 1 minute each to share and then repeat back what you heard. Let's actually all just take a deep breath here to arrive together. So let's take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Allow your breathing to return to your natural flow in and out through the nose. Arriving here and gently opening your eyes and re-greeting all these other beautiful humans here with hopefully a little more presence and attention. And what I want to do now is open the floor for anyone to share about their experience in their breakout rooms. What was it like doing that exercise? I'm really curious. And anyone's welcome to take themselves off mute and jump in.
I can share.
Okay, thanks,
So
Jackie.
it was a very, very, it was very interesting because as I was expressing it, I could hear which is even different from writing it down. Hearing myself say it really started, I could see things popping into place of like where I was not aligned within myself in the story. And then what I experienced was that in the reflection, I could identify where in the reflection, I don't think I made that clear, as opposed to, I don't think you may have heard that piece correctly. Like that was very evident and I could identify that. And that was very revealing to me.
Thanks for sharing that, Jackie. I'll tell you that probably 90% of the conflicts that we have to intervene in with our client organizations are the result of an origin like that. Someone said something, the other person didn't understand it or misinterpreted it, and a whole drama ensued. Whereas if we had just learned how to play this game, we could have avoided all of that, all that wasted time, all that emotional energy, all that lost sleep. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is to practice this in your daily life. If you ever notice yourself having a reaction to something someone's sharing, to just take a moment to repeat back and clarify and make sure you're actually understood what they were trying to express, because so much can be avoided from just that simple tool. So thank you for illustrating that. And yeah, anyone else have experiences, either what it felt like to share about their situation, what they learned from doing those reflection questions, or how it felt to do the repeating back and the clarifying? Ellen, go ahead.
I didn't have, I only had one resource to dialogue my problem with. And so I used many of the tools learned in our last course together, which was very helpful. And I could see all the play-by-plays in my mind, but I didn't have anyone to share it with who I really felt could get the entire context in 1 minute, actually. And so in dialoguing with Beth, who I did the last course with, it was really gratifying to feel like she heard the entire context and also the subtext that I was trying to communicate in such a short time. I felt really heard, and it felt really, really good.
Thanks, Ellen. So beautiful. You're right. It's so rare that we have this experience in conversation of the other person just reflecting back and understanding us. So often, and I say this for myself too, I'm like thinking about what I'm going to say next, or the story, how this relates to something that happened in my life, or advice that I want to give this person. And how valuable it is to just hold space and reflect back, and how much of a shift that can make in someone else's experience is so profound. So this is something that I invite you all to do with your friends next time. If you share this intentional structure, ask them, would you be willing to practice this game with me and see how it feels? Because this is a tool that you can use in your life and relationships. And this is another reason why the Bridge Builders course is so powerful, because we're not just alone trying to work on our stuff in therapy, which is really valuable and everyone should do, but we're also in community practicing with each other, practicing how to relate, how we can bring these tools and skills into our real life relationships and communities and workplaces. And there's so much value in being in community and practicing together. And I'm also curious, anyone else have something they learned from this experience, either from the reflection questions or from doing the exercise and the breakouts? What's an insight that you're taking home with you after this session?
This might seem off topic. Sorry, did you want people to respond?
Yes, please
Oh,
jump in.
okay.
Thank you.
This might seem off topic, but in my breakout, I was told that it feels like I do a good job of making people feel heard, which feels it is unrelated to the conflict, but feels really great because I've done a lot of these workshops previously, and it feels like I'm actually making progress about active listening, and that's a big part of trying to just use that in everyday conflict resolution. So that's a little unrelated, but it felt like a win.
Yes, so we're all celebrating you. Thank you for sharing that. And actually, I feel like this is a perfect opportunity. I want to pass the mic to Celeste and ask you, are there any wins that you're celebrating as a result of doing this course and really putting the 7 skills into practice? Because I know for some of you, this is new content and it can feel like, oh, it might feel a little unusual or uncomfortable to ask my friend to do this with me or to do this journaling exercise before I go talk to someone. So I'm from someone who's on the other side of the experience. Yeah, what are some wins that you are celebrating from the 7 skills?
Well, aside from the story that I shared with you earlier, saying that the conversations are getting less, no eye twitching happening now, but really using that first step of pausing and reflecting. I have a little post-it at my computer, both home and here in the office, to remind myself to pause and breathe. I know from this course, my sympathetic response is to fight. And so it helps me to calm down so I don't go into that eye twitching mode and I'm ready to, protect myself and attack the other person. And it allows those other 7 steps or 6 steps to come into play so I can think about what assumptions I'm making, lead with curiosity, and the other tools that you'll learn by being a part of Bridge Builders. So really, I've shared with other folks that, this course has been transformational for me because it really has allowed me to be more reflective, not only of my own self-awareness, but also like think about that with other people, whether they may be or may not be from my observation, not my story, right? But it really has transformed the way I communicate both personally and professionally.
Mm, Thank you so much, Celeste. And we have a few people here who are going to be joining our next cohort. And if you want to also get in on this, we'll put the link in the chat that has all the details. It actually starts in 2 weeks on March 28th. It's all online and there's so much incredible resources, and the way it's structured is incredibly intentional. So you can read more about it at that link. And because you came to this Bridge Builders Lab, you get an extra special bonus of $250 off the price if you want to sign up before the end of the day tomorrow. So it'd be so wonderful to have more of you join our community of Bridge Builders. And before we close, there's 2 more things that I want to share. One is we talked a lot about untangling our assumptions and stories, but now that we see a little bit more clearly what's a story and what's an observation, I want each of you to write down 1 question in the chat that you can ask this person or people that might help you uncover, what's really going on for them. Because we see their behavior, that's what we can observe. But beneath the surface of that are their own inheritance, their thoughts, their feelings, their own stories about things. And we can't see this deep root system that's underneath the surface that's probably influencing their behavior. And so these are some questions that are examples, like when you said X, what did you mean by that? What was your intention? What was your experience of X, Y, Z? So write down in the chat 1 question that you want to share, that you want to ask this person next time you talk. And we'll give you about another 30 seconds or so to do that. And Beth, I want to toss the word to you to close out with any very brief or succinct thoughts or wisdom from your own experience.
I will say that the biggest unexpected benefit for me for this was I've been doing this with my mother, and I have so much like intense baggage and things with her, and very triggering. And I've been leading with curiosity, and I've been asking for clarifying questions. And I'm not going to say it's been easy because I'm disrupting the routine of how we communicated, but I feel better. And actually one night, my brother was on a call between us, and he called me up afterwards, and he said, you know, me and my wife, my sister-in-law, were talking about how well you handled that. And he just called me up to say that he saw how well I handled the conversation, and that he wants me to show him how to do it. So we're gonna do it together, and I'm gonna keep using this. So if this, it's been great for work, and if I can have some peace with my mom, that's going to be just out of this world.
Beautiful. Thank you for leaving us on that note. And we'll just close with one quick 10-second exercise. Thank you so much, Beth and Celeste, for being here, for sharing your wisdom, and for all of you for taking the time out of the day to practice together in community. You want to take a moment to just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and imagine your ideal outcome. What would shift in this relationship? How do you want the situation to resolve? How do you want to feel when you walk into the room and see this person or people next? Imagine like anything were possible, no limitations, and really breathe in deeply how you want to feel in that interaction, in that relationship. And as you breathe, start to rub your palms together. Take a deep breath in. Breathe in that feeling, that vision, and then blow it between your palms. And on the count of 3, we will clap it into reality. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Thank you all so much for being here. We also put a link in the chat to a really quick feedback survey, which will also give you a chance to reflect on and integrate what you learned. So please click on that and share your thoughts with us, because we're always trying to improve what we do and really be of service to the world and our community. So thank you all for being here. And you're welcome to take yourself off mute and say goodbye to the group. And we host these virtual free workshops about once a month. So hopefully we'll see you at the next one, if not in Bridge Builders in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye. Take the course.
Do what Celeste says.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye,
so much.
Ellen. Good